That is the Incurables, and even though they've been making music for close to 4 decades, they're still waiting to grow up. In the meantime, the Detroit-based band has just released a new album titled Inside Out and Backwards. Here are Ray Lawson and Pat Kelly to tell us how the band's name may have taken on new meaning post-pandemic.
Yeah, we don't get invited to play a lot of benefits.
Yeah, the name doesn't go.
And yeah, it's somehow in general, I don't think it's really been an issue, but yeah, I'm sure there's been times that people are concerned.
Okay, well, hopefully
hence us not wanting to sit close to each other.
So the band's been around for a few years, dating back to the 90s, right?
Well, even further than that, but that's as far as our calendar goes.
Tell me about the beginning. Let's go way back.
So yeah, I was actually just thinking about it recently. As you can see, anybody that gets the camera version of this is Ray and I go back quite a ways ourselves, and we actually started playing. We're working on our 6th decade, which makes it sound really old, but we started playing actually at the end of the 70s when we were
Thank you.
When we were still in our young teens. Started playing together. Ray and I have known each other since kindergarten, since we were 5 years old.
Right.
We met and grew up together in the same neighborhoods, basically, and never really intended to get together starting music. We kind of had our own paths, probably very similar music styles in the area, and just started both picking up guitars and playing and doing things. And by the time we hit like 15, we were pretty much full blown sitting together and working and strumming along and trying to figure out how this music stuff worked. By the time we were 17, we're heading into the 80s and getting out and actually playing local parties or clubs or talent shows and different things and picking up some other members.
Wherever we could find a place to play, and the bars, when we were underage, obviously, so they'd have us go in and
we couldn't stay.
We couldn't stay. We played a song or two. It's like, okay, you guys will have to leave now. It's like,
Yeah, let us know if we won.
Right.
I'm sure we didn't in those days. It was just us slapping at guitars. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, isn't it? I mean, I'm a similar.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm of a similar vintage
slapping
to you guys,
guitars,
and so you must have been influenced by the whole punk thing because that's what was going on in the late 70s, and especially being from Detroit, and you got the Stooges and all that stuff.
Well, a lot of the British.
Right. Yeah, I think it started with us with older siblings and the AM radio scene that we probably had somewhat in the time, and the British invasion groups in the 60s. A lot of sort of what the underground garage groups and different things. The standards with the Monkees, the Beatles, watching the Monkees on TV probably
reruns because by the time the Monkees came, by the time we realized what the Monkees were, they were already broken up.
And then you're right as far as timing. As you think about that music time frame when we were starting to get together and playing, music was either probably heavy metal or the disco scene or the underground hidden sort of punk groups, like you mentioned, that was more like that music we were looking at, the Who and the Kinks and some of those bands that we loved from the 60s.
Some of the American bands, Ramones, big influence on us.
Absolutely. Ramones, and then, some of our local heroes too, with the MC5 and the Iggy and the Stooges, and then groups that were around the Detroit area at the time.
Yep. Very cool. So, but that was then, and this is now. So, as the song goes, what keeps you guys going here in 2024?
Beer.
Yes. What time is it there?
It's 9:35 in the morning.
Well, it's just yes, that's time. So it's really just the love of the music and playing. We kind of did a lot, and then probably 15 years ago or so, it kind of slowed down for us. Raising families and doing things and keeping busy with work, and it kind of got quiet, and then we sort of almost started back how we started initially. Ray and I got together and said, it's been a while since we played out. Let's just sit down and play and do some jamming together.
Really good,
and it felt really good. It sounded good, and Ray's constantly writing music, so with that gap, he's already got 20 songs stored up, ready to go, and then we thought, well, let's expand on this, and we brought Darren, our drummer, in and said, hey, we've been getting together and jamming a little bit, but we're kind of missing something. Why don't you come on over? And he came in, and it was like falling off a bike.
Right.
It just all came right back together really quick. And then and we really did it just because we loved it. I mean, if it's great that we love to record as well as play out live, but we're happy just playing music with each other, enjoying our time, our company, our sound, and just having a blast. The fact that we can get out on a stage and other people are enjoying the songs too is just total bonus.
Oh yes, definitely. And it's like, like I say, we would do this, like I say, just
don't say free.
No, just getting together. It's just the joy of playing with, I say, I love these guys, and we've been, doing it forever. And it's like, it's just something that we just so much enjoy doing.
So that's what keeps us going,
Very good.
It's tough.
Excellent.
And we realize the next day after we play a show that we're as old as we are, but while we're on stage, we still think we're 25, and we jump around and act kind of crazy. And like I said, we have to take three days off, but we're still loving it.
It's worth it. So the new album is called Inside Out and Backwards. And my understanding is it's basically stuff you had laying around for quite a while. There it is. So tell me how it kind of gelled and came to be these 10 songs.
Well, yeah, there's a few songs on there we've had for, in the works, I think before we took a hiatus. And those, we just, those are like, we came back and started like playing them again and like, redefining them and took them to the studio, recorded them, and then we wrote some. Actually, we wrote like 3 or 4 new ones.
Oh yeah, at least there's a lot of stuff that's pretty new. Like I said, Ray seems like he's always writing. I have to, sometimes force myself to write just to keep up or get some stuff on the album, or depending on the mood that he's portraying, I try to write the opposite to bring us back into a neutral zone. But yeah, some of these things definitely are very old, and we didn't know until we went into the studio what they would become. There were songs that were basically just bass and drums, and I had no idea what I would play on them. And quite often, we would, when we go into a studio, there would be what they call a scratch track, where I would just be playing guitar along so that we could get the drums and a bass or some basics. And and most of these songs, we probably ended up keeping the scratch tracks because it was just, I didn't know what I was going to play. And then when I played something, they're like, everybody was like, oh yeah, that works. Do that. Keep that.
So, it's like, he tried to come up with something new. It's like, nah, go back to the scratch. The scratch track was better,
Right.
So, but yeah, we love the creativity and the build in the studio. I would say with this album, we did, we always like to keep things raw to the point that, we don't want to do something that we totally can't play on live on stage. But we definitely, I would say, added some layers in these. Yeah. A lot of extra guitar. Ray throws a little xylophone in there at some point. And
excellent. That's very rock.
So a lot of it's just little subtle things. Go ahead.
Right. So the opening track is called When I Grow Up, and I see there's a video that you guys got out for it already. And so you mentioned the Ramones, and I hear a little bit of Joey there in the vocal, and the attitude of the song is kind of reminiscent of the Who's My Generation. So elaborate on the song, the video, whatever you'd like to capture.
When I grow up, I'm gonna be your man. We'll have 1,000 kids, yeah, that's the plan. Always make it loud. When I grow up.
Yeah, that's one of mine. So a pretty simple, basic concept, and you're absolutely right. It's got kind of that punky growl to it, snarly sort of vocal, as well as the guitar playing and all behind it.
Right.
The song in general is just that. It's sort of a perspective of, what do you want to be when you grow up, or a kid's ideal of how life is supposed to be from the Ozzie and Harriet picture frame. that I'm gonna grow up and get married and have kids and have my house with my white picket fence and walk out the door with my briefcase and nobody knows what my job really is, and kind of that ideal. And then of course we have to back that up with sort of chorus of harmonies of never going to happen. Like that ain't us, and it's never going to be us. Not to say that we're living the Peter Pan world, but we're not. That's not how we're growing up.
You can grow up. You can grow old, but you don't have to grow up.
Exactly. So we're trying to keep some of that young mentality with us.
That's the spirit.
Absolutely.
And on there's a great bass line intro on Funhouse that kind of lays down a pretty solid groove, and then it goes into some psychedelic guitar shredding at the end. So it sounds like you had a good time with that one.
Time for a new sensation. No need for an explanation. Come on in, step inside. There's no reason to run and hide. Just turn to the left and you slide to the right. It's time to take a trip inside your mind. When nothing is real, it's just all make believe. You can try to run, but you can never leave.
There was a lot more guitar shredding. We had to cut back. I told Pat, I said, because that's one way he just went in the studio and just went crazy. I'm going, I like your guitar work, but you can't keep playing over my vocals.
Right.
I said, you got to bring it back at one point.
That was one of the songs that we went into the studio, and I really didn't have any idea what I was going to play. So I thought, well, how about just like a 3-minute lead?
Excellent.
Can't go wrong, right?
Yep. And so the bass line that starts the thing out, was that always going to be is that kind of how you work together in the studio? You lay down a little, drum and bass track and then work up from there?
I think that's when we kind of like, I had a lot, the bass part in my head, and I was like, working with it, brought it to the guys, and we started, was practicing playing it, and I think there might have been some, different versions where it didn't start out with bass, could have been drum and stuff, but I think we ended up saying, the bass should bring that in, and then it's all built from there.
Yeah, it's hard to say how much of it is intentional.
Gotcha. Yeah, fair enough.
We do kind of, or Ray definitely, like I said, does a lot of the writing. So he'll come to me with a song, and he might grab his guitar and say, "Here, I wrote a song. It goes like this," and I'll listen to it once and go, "Okay, that's cute. Here's what I'm playing." So I try to keep the basic structure of what he's doing, or he plays it like a bass guitarist, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you're doing. I'm not doing that. So we sometimes play around with things. Sometimes he'll start something out with a bass, and there were some songs on here someday that's about to be released here as a single this coming Friday is one of those that really started out bass and drums, and we completely reversed that, and it now kind of starts off with a fade in guitar. So. We test and play with a little different concepts and options as we go along and see what works.
Right. And I noticed one of the more complex arrangements. Oh, sorry. I noticed one of the more complex arrangements is with a song called "Man of Few Words." So, is that one that you spent a little more time on?
He doesn't know what words to say. He'll always give you the time of day. He might seem stuck up and far away, but it doesn't mean to come off that way. He's a man of few words. He's a man of few words.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorites, I think, on the album, was so many different and layered guitar between the kind of waka waka going on with and some of it in the background with the wah pedals and the explosive bar chords coming in coming hard and like I said,
and actually Darren, our drummer, wrote the lyrics for that one. That was something he had, going on. So he wrote the lyrics, and then we just kind of, okay, well, we wrote the music for, with the help of Darren, but it was his idea and stuff, and I think that turned out to be a really cool song. That was fun to do in the studio, like say with all the different layers and
Yeah, that was definitely a lot of times. Like I said, we kind of go in, and as much as we can, we try to get live cuts, but that one would go in, and sometimes I'll come home and we'll listen to what we've recorded for the day, and quite often when it comes down to like doing a lead or something, I'll come home with a raw section of where the lead's going to go, and then I try to write to what's going to best fit the song. And this was one that seemed like every time we went back into the studio, it would add just a little. I think it needs something here, just a little layered something on. But yeah, that's one we've been talking about that one of my favorites on the album, and I've been thinking about is like, and there's a lot going on here to play live. Which piece am I going to play? How am I going to cover all of this stuff and make sure that we get it all in? And I'm sure we won't cover everything like it is on the album, but to try and capture all of those different guitar changes and all those different things going on. But some great harmonies, some great like sort of picking guitar, as well as just slam in your face stuff too.
I'll be able to do my part. That's why I just wanted to say that.
There you go. That's all that matters. Now, I know, jumping ahead to the final track, I Told Myself Absolutely Nothing. It's a good rocker to end the record. Notice some interesting lyrics regarding food, cheese curds, and corned beef and hash. What's going on there?
The headlights were flashing through the back door. He was eating cheese curds, calling Dr. Bombay, and I got arrested. Potatoes and gravy. I told myself.
This is one that's I think it's a challenge for our audience to figure out what the hell we're talking about here.
Absolutely nothing.
Which is kind of the whole point. We sort of wanted a song that, and I'm not sure if it started out that way or we intended to do it that way, but we've always kind of wanted something that we either each sing a verse on, or so that one, if you can tell or not, we between Ray, myself, and Darren, we each take turns with the lines. Okay, so you almost have to take the first line of the song and the fourth line of the song and the seventh line of the song, and put those pieces together, and they might mean something. And the second line and the fifth line and so on might mean, and then when it came time for Darren to do his, I think he was hungry.
Very hungry.
So there was a lot of mashed potatoes and gravy and cheese curds and.
Yeah, we did not know Darren's lyrics until we went in the studio.
Yeah, he looked like he was reading off a Denny's menu or something. So
because we were listening, singing, it was like, huh. He's like, he goes, well, I got some other lyrics, and he's saying those. Went, I guess we'll go back to the food ones. I guess those work, But,
well, I think we asked him at some point. He said, "Have you got anything that's not food?" And he's got like 3 pages, and he goes, "No."
So, like, sure, he has a shopping list,
But the point of the song is, we kind of had a fun beat, and that's sometimes what we do. We definitely don't take ourselves very seriously in some of it, and some of it we do. I mean, we take the music seriously, we take what we're doing seriously, but we also make fun of ourselves. There's a song on here, Soda Pop, that's also kind of corny and campy.
Right.
But yeah, that one for sure. And then even as that one fades out, I just started singing On a Chicken Run. And I have no idea where that came from either. So the final song, yes.
Yeah, he's got to be careful of what he sings, because if he's just fooling around singing, a lot of times Jared goes,
we're keeping that.
We're keeping that.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's like, beware, Pat.
Right. Well, I will point out, if you ever come down to New Zealand, where in Rochester it was soda pop was pop. Here they call it a fizzy drink.
Well, that wasn't even on our list.
Yeah.
Fizzy drink.
I would have never thought of that either, but there you go. So you mentioned your audience. Who is your audience? When do you guys go out to play? Is it folks of a certain vintage? Is it a mix of crowds? What kind of people are into you guys?
It's a mix.
A lot of people that can't hear very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
no. I would say it's a mix. I mean, we've got people from our era, surprisingly, not just around here, but I think we've been doing some traveling as well. The people that are still going out to the clubs and listening to live music, a lot of them are more from our era than the younger people. But there are those that are out there too, that do. Right. I mean, we've got our share probably of 20 and 30-year-olds and stuff that are following us along, and depending on how late in the evening we're playing, the younger the audience gets, because you used to be that we wouldn't think of it, and that's kind of their concept too. We wouldn't think about going out before 10 p.m. and do we lose him? Oh, is it? Your video went out, Marty, so we thought we lost you. But
yeah, sorry, yours is we went out. But the good thing about this, it stays stable behind, so it's good.
Okay, so when you're young, you don't think about going out before 10 p.m. As you get older, you try to make sure you're home by 10 p.m. So as the night goes on, our audience changes, but most of them are still audiences is people that enjoy having a good time. We don't get a lot of slow dancers because we don't do a lot of slow dancing music. So, and
fair enough.
It's sit back, listen, have a good time, and that's kind of what our music is about. And on stage, it's all just energy and having fun.
That was well said.
Thank you.
Good. So finally, how is Detroit doing these days? Because it seems to me, if I remember correctly, Detroit kind of went through a rough patch recently. Is it bouncing back?
Well, it's been through a rough patch for about 50 years or so, but
it's seen. I mean, the downtown area is definitely picking up. I mean, there's more clubs. You got certain areas like Hamtramck has. I mean, so many gems out there of different live music clubs. And original clubs too. It's like back in the day, Hamtramck was a place to go play original music.
Get my shirt on.
Oh yeah, the Hamtramck Music Fest.
So the Hamtramck is like an island, sort of separate, maintain their own identity city right in the middle of Detroit. But Detroit, a lot of downtown Detroit as well, some different areas and sections. We try to say don't call it a comeback, but there's definitely a renaissance, resurgence, I would say, to the city development areas. It was, as you travel through other towns and big towns, like you're from New York and Chicago and different areas, living downtown would cost you a fortune. Well, in Detroit, you could buy a city block for almost nothing. That's changing. So it's getting back where it's desirable to be in the city, and it's starting to pick up and grow. And then obviously, like I said, as a music scene, it's had its own identity for several years. I mean, ever since Motown. Well, we still love, enjoy, and consider Motown as part of our music scene. But there's been so much since then, and so many good artists and talent here that we welcome anybody to come in and enjoy and share and find more in Detroit. It's ever growing, and there's just some great groups and clubs here.
Let's hope it continues.
All righty. Very good. Have a great day, and thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate it.